So our first presenter is online. Her name is Danna, and she'll be presenting feminist perspectives on trans rights, exploring collaboration and conflict in Spain.
Yeah, now I see the whole room. Oh, it's just in the morning for you guys. Thanks for having me. I'm Dana. I'm currently in my fourth year of the PhD. I'm doing the PhD in social psychology in the University of Granada in Spain. So for me now it's 6:30 in the morning. So I hope that you are aware of that and forgive every mistake that I made since it's way too early for me. But I'm very happy to be here and to listen to your presentations through the world. And yeah, my PhD is focusing allyship processes between the feminist movement and the LGBTQI plus community. And what I'm going to present to you today is a work of mine that I cherish in my heart because it was some of my first work during the PhD, which is about two focus groups that I did with queer women and with cishet women about their perspective on trans rights regarding, yeah, like how feminism affected their support of it and stuff. So this comes from the notion that the feminist movement and the LGBTQ plus community have supported each other within time. That's not going to be a surprise for anyone in the room, and I think that that's something that we should keep in mind right now in times of social polarization and social issues regarding what our groups are doing. So I have here some examples. Every picture that you're gonna see in the presentation is a picture of a real life protest supporting trans rights. So I think that that's something that yeah, we should be aware of also. Yeah, this is pictures of not only the classical Stonewall, but also some protests in Chile, also some protests in Spain. And these are pictures of not only feminist protests, but also LGBTK plus protests where there were feminist symbols. So this comes this idea of research comes from this sentence that I really liked from a Spanish philosopher, which is that feminism is a life project about social change for a wider society, not only for women. So coming by from that notion, I want to explain to you some of the legal context of Spain, which I think that it is very interesting right now because there are a lot of countries that are supporting more and more LGBTQ plus rights, and our is one of them. We just undergone one big legal change last February in 2023. It was a process of 4 years, 5 years of legalization, and it has been huge because not it doesn't only protect trans rights, but it also protects, for example, intersex people. It allows other things to be covered, like such as maternity for lesbian, bisexual, and trans people to be supported by the government. There is sex education now that is compulsory for schools, but obviously, what the social media decided to cover and decided to talk a lot about was something that was very important for us, which was gender self determination for trans people. So, meaning that before that, people had to undergo a psychological treatment and had to have a diagnosis and stuff like that, that we obviously don't like. And now people can just go to any facility of the government and say, yeah, I want to change. We talk about sex in this case because we don't recognize gender in the social identity documents, but you can say, yeah, I want to be treated differently, and that will be enough, which is awesome, obviously. But um, yeah, I ran some studies within the years, and I just wanted to show you a brief average look about what happened. So this process did very much started in 2018. I hadn't even started my PhD at that point. I was doing my psychology degree. And yeah, it has been a long process, really. So these focus groups that I pointed out to you here were run in January and December of 2021 to 2022. So this was the moment where just after the first draft of this law that is called the trans law in Spain was published and adopted for the first time. Yeah, and so in the social media, people were very much polarized. There was an ongoing conversation about what should be done if this kind of law was diminishing women's rights. The typical conversation that at this point of life we are very much used to, sadly, to be seeing. But yeah, this was a moment of huge polarization. So we thought that it would be interesting to talk with people and to ask feminists what were they thinking. Because obviously, as we know from very recent work from other researchers, that there is the division between having a feminist positioning that is trans exclusive to more gender critical is one of the main branches that we can divide feminism for. So yeah, this work from Tekla Morgan-Roth, I think that is very enlightening in this case because of that, because it shows us with qual and quant evidence that difference between different positionings in feminism. So that's how we learned in this small work that I did when I was just starting my PhD. This is me over here in the chair, and these are the participants that were for one of the groups. So we did two focus groups of more or less 2 hours each, with cis-het women and with LBQ plus women, because we thought dividing them into categories, in the socio-demographic categories, because we thought that it would be interesting to see if the conversations that they were holding were kind of different, like qualitatively. We had a contingency plan, meaning that we were expecting that there will be some conflict regarding some of the topics that we were talking about. There was not only me being the person that was kind of guiding the conversation in a very neutral way, but there were also two external observers per group that did not only help me with running the groups, but also took notes about what they were observing in nonverbal behavior, which helped us after that to kind of like enrich more what we were hearing in the audios. And yeah, so there were just like 12 people in two different groups. And here in the right part of the screen, I hope that you can see it. We had the schedule that we were following. So we went through different topics. At the very beginning, we were talking about the conceptualization of feminism, like how did they define feminism, and the objectives of the feminist movement. And after that, we went through some questions regarding what was the relationship between the feminist movement and the LGBTQI plus movement. Like, should they work together? Should they not work together? In which ways should they work? And also we asked them about like something that we call threat perception, because we were asking them if there was something in the public debate that was kind of triggering them, if there was something that was problematic for them in this trans law that was just proposed. And after that, we finished the focus groups with cognitive alternatives for a more egalitarian world, because we thought that it would be good to finish in a positive note. And we asked them about how they will construct a more egalitarian society for all. Regarding how we analyze the data, we followed a reflexive thematic analysis framework from Ronald Clark and a deductive inductive approach, meaning that we had some previous categories because we had this guideline of the focus groups, but also we were open to kind of find whatever people were talking about and to listen to it. And yeah, this is just a picture of how, for example, the code, the notebook of the observer was looking. Like they had some tables and they could point some arrows and saying like who was agreeing with who was discussing more with whom. And also they have some space to write down things and some codes. I'm not going to show them because it's not relevant, but yeah. So first things first, after gathering the data, we found mainly three big themes, which was feminism, not surprising, we were expecting that. Also about another theme about conflicts in the feminist movement regarding the trans law, which is what we're going to talk more about today, and intergroup collaboration, which we'll talk about not only joint actions and collective actions, but also the role of allies and how allies should behave. In the part of the conflict of the focus groups, people mentioned different things, such as that there are violent spaces among feminists, in the conflict in general, the controversy surrounding the term TERF was something that was mentioned in the two focus groups, and the need for gender distinctiveness. So in the first sub thing, which was violent spaces among us, we had some very interesting quotes, both in the heterosexual women group and LGBTQ plus women group. You're gonna find the quotes in the top part of the table, and then the quote. So basically, both groups, it was mentioned that they felt that feminist spaces were violent for them at that point. That was something that was very much mentioned in many participants. They said that they didn't feel safe expressing their opinions. They didn't feel that there was sympathy surrounding the feminist counterparts, and that was making them feel very uncomfortable. But I think that is also important to point out that in the group one, the heterosexual women group, they were all cis. They were talking about us at some point about they having doubts surrounding the trans law, and they having doubts about how it would affect cis women, when they were talking about feeling not comfortable. But in the LBQ plus women group, they were talking about hearing transphobe comments and stuff like that. So even though the theme was the same, the why they had that theme is it was not the same. So the second sub thing was intergroup conflicts. They were talking about that they couldn't find a common ground to discuss with other feminist counterparts, and that they did not feel like they had to educate other people. That was pretty much the same. And regarding the controversy surrounding the term TERFs, it was very interesting because in the LBQ plus women, what they said was basically, and I didn't put a quote because it was very obvious, like that they didn't understand TERFs. Like they were like, I don't get why people are saying or supporting those things. But in the heterosexual women group, they had a lot of a hell of a debate talking about that. Because some of them had been called TERFs in the past, and they said that they just didn't understand why, and that they felt attacked. And there was one of the participants that was like kind of having a heated discussion with other of the two, saying that we had to respect if people call us TERFs, and understand that it's the same situation as when we call men sexist. You have to understand that you are doing something wrong, and you have to just accept it and revise what you are doing instead of getting mad at them. This is one of the code of the notebooks that will show, like, participant 4 was the one that was being against this kind of like sex explanation of TERFism, and participant 3 just in front of her, participant 1 were discussing with her about like it's not fair that they're called as TERFs. This is not something that helps us understand anything and stuff like that. And the last something regarding this category was the need for gender distinctiveness, and that was very much mentioned in the heterosexual women group. They talk that they said that they felt that it was okay for them to feel scared if they were in bathrooms and there was something that someone that was not feminine presenting, and that they didn't want to lose things that are related historically with women, such as vulvas in manifestations and stuff like that, and that they needed that distinctiveness from men in order to fight for feminist aims. That wasn't said in the LBQ plus women group. So the main conclusions regarding what we found is that heterosexual women focus more on challenges and threats than on allyship, while LBQ plus women emphasize more their need for sympathy and empathy and collaboration, and that heterosexual women express more mixed feelings than LBQ plus women, which were very much supporting and openly defending the trans law and trans people. So basically, the conflict of in the feminist movement with these participants was salient qualitatively and with a small sample, but yeah, we thought that it was interesting. There was a strong support for cis women in general for trans rights, even though the cishet women had some doubts regarding the law, and that this threat perception that some participants express might hinder their collaboration, and also that LBQ plus women express a clear support of trans rights, which is also in line with sociodemographic categories and previous research that has already found that. So yeah, this is the article that we has just published. It's in press right now, but in case you want to check it at some point. And these are my collaborators. And thank you so much for listening to me, and I'm looking forward for your feedback.